The Center for Wildlife in Cape Nettic treats close to 200 different species of animals that are injured or orphaned in the wild.
Nearly 8 months ago, the folks there took on a patient that both challenged them and captured their hearts in a way they never would have predicted. 207's Peggy Kaiser is here now with the story. Hi, Peg.
Hi, Rob. Well, Rob and Sam, despite the fact that he looks pretty prehistoric, this snapping turtle has acquired a huge fan club as his story has unfolded.
Yes.
This was not the first time Amanda and Lila Willette had seen this big old snapping turtle.
Well, we rescued him probably a few days or a week or so prior. We saw him on this road coming out of a bushy area near my home. So we ended up just forcing him to go that direction towards the pond behind us.
He was a familiar sight around their neighborhood, but when they found him on a warm afternoon last September, it was a different story.
His shell was missing on the top and on the bottom.
With some help, they managed to get him into a box.
It was like a community effort because the police were stopping traffic.
And take him to the Center for Wildlife in Cape Nettic.
A woman and her daughter that live in the neighborhood that he lives in found him on the side of the road, and he had been not just hit by a car, but fully run over by a vehicle.
Turtles have a top shell and a bridge that connects down to their bottom shell. For this turtle, one entire side of his shell cracked open, revealing his body cavity.
And he was even missing parts of his shell and skin from the trauma.
You can estimate the age of a turtle by its size and by the scutes on their shell, like growth rings on a tree. The team guessed he was about 40 years old.
And he was definitely in a bad way.
It was important that they begin to repair the shell because if left unattended, the bone can die and never heal. They treated him for trauma and blood loss, applied some heat for shock, fluids for hydration, and antibiotics. The team got creative to try to seal off the body cavity.
We were packing the wound. We ended up using like collagen strips, manuka honey. We even used beeswax and silver sulfadiazide, all sorts of things to pack the wound and to try to help seal off the body cavity to stop blood loss. But you also can't just repair the wound too quick, because if we just sealed it right away, we would trap in bacteria and infection.
On day 4, he had surgery, and it was days before he was fully recovered from the anesthesia. The staff moved his legs to keep his blood pumping.
Really pulled out all the stops for this guy. He just really drew us all in because he's just a special, ancient individual.
A turtle's shell is made out of bone, and the team pulled it together with brackets and bandages.
Turtles are incredible at regenerating tissue and healing from wounds.
He couldn't go into the water until his body cavity had sealed. Keeping him hydrated was a task. He was immobile, so the team had to protect him from getting what we think of as bed sores.
Our team put corks lining on the bottom of his plaster to actually keep his own body pressure off, which prevented sores from happening.
All the while, his progress was documented on Facebook, where he had millions of hits of a video of him drinking water. The old turtle had become a bit of a celebrity. 220 days later, it was time to release him to a quiet pond that they think is his summer home. Bringing him there a bit early in the season means he'll have to cross that busy road one less time.
Beeswax and cork.
And at the pond's edge, he seemed to understand it was time to return to the familiarity of his old life. And just like that, he slipped beneath the surface to the mud and the muck of the safe haven of home.
To think of him in basking in the sunlight and, regrowing all that algae and like basically a tiny ecosystem that he came in with on his shell, and eating wild foods and getting all the nutrients and minerals that he needs in the wild, that feels pretty awesome.
Now, most of the turtles you might encounter in the wild are able to fully pull themselves into their shell if they feel threatened. That is how they protect themselves from predators or humans. Snapping turtles are unable to do that, so their only defense is to snap or bite at their predators. If you encounter a turtle on the road, you can help it on their way, moving them in the same direction that they were traveling. It's not a good idea to take them back to the water. If you encounter a snapping turtle, you can use a blanket or a towel or a sweatshirt to kind of guide it or nudge it from behind and get the turtle onto a blanket and drag it to the side of the road. So I learned quite a bit in this story as well.
So did I. I had never in my entire life considered the possibility that snapping turtles could get bed sores.
Right? I don't think they thought about it either. They were so innovative in how they took care of that turtle, and he is robust and healthy and back home now.
Well, and it's great. I mean, all the rehabilitation centers around the state, it's great that we have them, because when
absolutely.
animals get hurt like this, they need somewhere to go. So it's great work.
Thanks, Peg.